Hello, hello, my beloved soul family, Youest listeners. You are in for a humongous treat today. I am so excited for our guest today. I have actually wanted to interview him since I started this podcast because he's made such an impact in my life with his teachings, his wisdom. I'm so thrilled to introduce you to John Assaraf. This is really going to be an incredible conversation. And so let me tell you a little bit about John before we begin. And
drum rolls, please.
Drum rolls, please. So excited to introduce you to John Assaraf. Let me tell you a little bit about him, and then you are going to be in for an incredible conversation. John is one of the leading mindset and behavioral experts in the world who has appeared numerous times on Larry King Live, Anderson Cooper, and the Ellen DeGeneres Show. John built 5 multi-million-dollar companies. One went public on NASDAQ, and one, Remax of Indiana, grew to 1,200 sales associates and 4.5 billion a year in sales. Woo! He has written a best-selling book, Innercise. This book is amazing. Innercise, the new science to unlock your brain's hidden power. In addition to his 2 New York Times bestselling books, Having It All and The Answer. And they have been translated to 35 languages. John has been featured in 10 movies, including the blockbuster hit The Secret and Quest for Success with Richard Branson and the Dalai Lama. Today, he is the founder and CEO of MyNeuroGym.com, a company dedicated to using the most advanced technologies and evidence-based brain training methods to help individuals strengthen their mindset and emotional skills so they unleash their inner power and maximize their results. I also want to share with you, it has been such an honor. I have been one of the moderators in John's incredible Win the Inner Game club room in Clubhouse. And we have talked about so many just powerful topics around mindset, around self-worth, self-esteem, manifestation, health and wealth, success, so much. And I was thinking, where do we begin? So I just want to say before we dive in, John, it is like truly an honor to have you here today.
Thanks, Julie. It's been fun playing with you on Clubhouse and getting to know each other better and sharing some of our lessons and wisdom and some of our failures that have led to some successes. So the whole gamut.
So I was like, where do we begin? Because you really, this is what happens, my friends. And I know actually many of my listeners who do tune in because I see them joining. So we have many people listening that are on Clubhouse that are listening. And what happens is we get to a topic and it's like, we could go so deep on so many areas. But, when I was reading and thinking about your background and I think a good place to start is actually around, it's so general, but around mindset, around, so what I know with so many of you beautiful listeners is really like, how do I stop those thoughts that are defeating me, that are negative, that are, unkind? You could even call self-attacking. Like, where do we begin with shifting mindset? I think that's a good place to start.
Great. I think before we begin with shifting mindset, first, we should probably discuss what is mindset.
Yeah.
Right. And so, Carol Dweck in her book called Mindset talked about, you can have a fixed mindset or an open mindset. And, a fixed mindset is somebody who goes around, this is the way I was born. This is the way things are. I can't change because blank, blank, blank. And they have this story that keeps their mindset fixed. And there's no room for growth and possibilities. An open mindset is somebody that is willing to open the doors to possibilities and maybe discover that some things that they believe are not true, but they believe it because maybe of a childhood experience or parents or an environment that fostered that belief. Somebody with an open mindset may say that, although I have some destructive or disempowering habits, I can learn how to let those go and create new ones. So there's that viewpoint on mindset, but there's a much more expansive view that I like to look at mindset, having been a behavioral neuroscience researcher for 40 years and trying to figure out my own mindset.
Yeah.
Where does my awareness, what's happening in my body, where's my awareness of my thoughts, where's my awareness of my behaviors, where's my awareness of my emotions fit in? Where does focus come in? Focusing on what am I thinking about, or my thoughts, focusing on, what am I feeling, focusing on what am I doing? Where does attitude come in? Where do beliefs come in? Where does self-image, self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence come in this world or word of mindset? And it's really a much more encompassing topic than my focus, closed or open, fixed or not. And so for 40 years, I've been just on a journey to understand I have this brain that I was gifted with. I was told 40 years ago when I was, 19, that it's the most powerful computer in the world.
Yeah.
And I said, where's the user's manual? I mean, if I got one of these, like, how do I use it? And my first mentor started giving me some of the tools to use it better. And for 40 years, I've been researching, okay, if I want to let go of a pattern that I wasn't born with, but I developed, are there techniques or tools to do that with? Yeah. If I have habits that are holding me back, and they're hard to break, are there tools or techniques to break them easier? Yeah. If I have a hard time focusing and I'm distracted all the time because of TV, texting, radio, my children, my spouse, my friends, and I've got these, distractions all the time. Is there a way for me to maybe lessen those and get more focused on doing the things I should be doing? And this is the practice, right, of looking at oneself, looking at the skills and tools and ways that we show up in the world. And if we're ready to be radically honest, right, radically honest of why am I doing the things I do? Like, why am I really doing them? Am I doing them because I really want to move towards achieving something or having something? Or am I doing it to move away from something? What are my motivators? Are they, internal motivators or external motivators, for attention? If I have a fear of writing a book, if I have a fear of leaving a relationship I'm miserable in, if I have a fear of asking for, a raise, or a fear of doing something that is required in order for me to let go of something I don't want and have something I do want, like, why do I have that fear? Why does it hold me back so much? Like, what is really causing this? And if one is prepared to be radically honest with themselves without, and this is really, really, really key, without self-judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. Without self-judgment, blame, shame, guilt, or justification. And if we're willing to do that, then we can start to see that there are certain patterns and triggers that are constructive and empower us. And there's certain patterns and things that disempower us, right? And maybe negative, maybe, not moving us towards the miraculous, magical, extraordinary life that we want. I have that effect on animals, by the way, right?
She doesn't do this usually. I'm like, what is happening? She heard you and she's like, I want to be in.
It's the energy of the voice she's resonating with, right? So
She loves you.
Yeah, I love her too. So when we seek to be radically honest and say, there's really nothing wrong with me, because that which created me, okay, is within me, right? Like, that's a big concept to not just say, oh, that sounds great, But
Yeah.
that's a big concept to play from. You know, if like, I don't know what created me. Like, some people call it God, some people call it universal intelligence, omnipotent, you know, universal intelligence everywhere, every place, and every human and everything. That sounds great. So let's say that's true. Then if that thing created me, it must be in me, right?
Yeah.
And so if that intelligence is in me, how can I be less than? How can I feel I'm not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy, too young, too old, afraid? And so now if I start to really want to get comfortable with that and be curious enough to let go of maybe ideas, paradigms, beliefs that may just not be right, that maybe my parents gave me because they didn't understand, because they didn't study this either, or my grandparents, most part, were in World War I or World War II, you know, in a world of scarcity and fear and certain limitations, but also certain opportunities. Maybe, you know, I didn't know enough about managing my focus and attention and my mindset and my emotions. Like, what are they? I have emotions, I have feelings. What's the difference? Are there core ones? Like, there's a lot of opportunity for us to be brilliantly dumb.
Well said.
Right? Brilliantly dumb. And, you know, and what that really means is, the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know. But it's in the learning that we're brilliant. It's in the acceptance that we're brilliant. It's in the surrendering that we're brilliant. It's in living our lives authentically and honestly, and surrendering to what was or what is, and then directing what we want. Mm-hmm. So I like to go deeper than the surface on this stuff. I've been a seeker. I want an extraordinary life for me. I want one for my family, for my children, for my friends, for the people who, you know, follow my work. And so let's start with that.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I almost want, if we can for a minute, because your story is extraordinary in terms of where you started from. I mean, I know you've talked about having abuse with your dad and growing up, you know, into, I think you've, I don't want to take what you were going to say.
Whatever you've heard me talk about, you can repeat.
Okay. I mean, I know you talked about,
my life is an open book.
You know, you could have been in jail. Like, you didn't have, it sounds like there was a tough part of life for you. I'd love to maybe just share, because I don't think most people know this. And I've heard different stories as you share each week. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the experience with your mentor, you know, the question that he asked you, I think we go to there too, but love to hear that backstory, because it's even more incredible.
So, born in Tel Aviv, Israel, mother, father, nice people, loving, caring, kind. They didn't like each other. They got married because they were young, had children. They stayed together because people stayed together, you know, after they got married. And there wasn't a lot of divorce back then, so you could be miserable and still together. But regardless, when I was 5, moved from Israel, where I was born, to Montreal, so that my parents could get away from the wars that were happening all the time where we lived. They were tired of wars and friends and family dying and warplanes going overhead and not being able to pick up something, you know, on the sidewalk because it might explode in your hands. So I remember those days. I remember the sirens. And we moved to Montreal and went to school in grade 1, and I didn't speak English or French, and that's what they spoke in Montreal. So I spoke Hebrew. I was just learning the alphabet. And then I go into English and French, and there are like 50, 60, for the most part, immigrants in the school. And not many people spoke English. They spoke other languages. And the teachers try and teach 50, 60 kids that can't get any attention on learning the English alphabet. And they already had to know that in grade 1 and 2 and 3. So I fell behind. By grade 3 and 4, I was already getting into trouble. Grade 5, 6, and 7, into more trouble. I spent more time in the detention centers. And I started hanging around with a bunch of misfit kids, getting into trouble in school and out of school. From the age of 11, 12 till 17, I did drugs, sold drugs, did breaking and entries, to fit in, to make money. And every day there were fist fights and nunchucks and brass knuckles. And that was my life as a kid. And even though I got into a lot of trouble, failed English, failed math, didn't think I was very smart, and sat in the classroom, look up at the ceiling, poking the kid next to me here and jamming the kid next to me there, trying to cheat on every test that I could. Grade 11, I actually cheated to be able to get the test results on a multiple choice from a friend of mine who rolled up all the multiple choice answers and dropped them on my desk as he walked by so I could pass the final test. And get out of high school, left school after grade 11. That was my life up until 17, 18 years old, and went to work in the shipping department, making $1.65 an hour, opening boxes, closing boxes, opening boxes, closing boxes. And that's because I needed to have a job, because my parents wouldn't let me live at home if I didn't have a job. And I was making more money selling drugs than I was at work. They didn't know it, but that's how I lived my life. That's what I thought I would need to do. And so that was a short version of, I didn't have a troubled childhood. I had a mother and father that were home for dinner every night, even though they fought and didn't like. My father, used his fists and his legs a little too much to beat me because of my test scores at school and also getting in trouble with the law. So physical abuse. My father would be in jail today if he did that to somebody today. So there's no communication of any relevance. There was accusation, there was blaming, there was shaming, there was guilt, and either slapping, punching, kicking, screaming. That was the natural, functional part of my family. And I got the brunt of it because I got into a lot of trouble as a kid. My brother and sister didn't. And so that was my 11, 12 years old to like 18 years old. And I knew at 18, because it wasn't like my family didn't teach me the right values and right from wrong. I just didn't fit in, and I just felt dumb, and I didn't feel like I was smart enough. And so I felt I was doing those things, not even to get attention, but to fit in with a group. So maybe attention with a group of people. And I spend most of my time, in the parks and outside, leave the house early in the morning, come back, late at night, go to the bars in Montreal, which you can get into, when you're 15, 16, if you looked a little bit older. So that was really, the environment I lived in. And then my brother, who knew that I was getting in trouble, and now that I was 18, I was actually 19 at the time, but after 18, you don't go to detention centers anymore. You do not pass go and you go to jail. And so we knew that my path was either I'm going to end up in jail like a couple of my friends did, or I'm going to end up dead like one friend did. And so my family knew that, my brother and sister knew that, and my brother, who was living in Toronto as a cab driver, as a tennis instructor, said, "Hey, I've got this guy that I teach tennis to. And he's a really successful real estate guy, developer, and he'd be willing to meet you for lunch and see if he can help you." I'm like, okay, great. So it's not like I need help, but sure, okay. And so I took the train 350 miles away to see my brother for lunch on a Friday morning. I took the train. It's about a 5-hour train ride from Montreal to Toronto. My brother picks me up. We drive in my sister's 1976 blue Dodge Dart. I remember the car, to lunch. And because my brother bought the car for my sister. And there's this man by the name of Alan Brown there. And he's got white hair, distinguished, very, very handsome guy, very calm. And so he just starts talking to me. "Hey, why do you think you're getting into so much trouble?" "I don't know. Just like I want to make some money. Well, I said, "I know you can make money legally." I said, "Well, not if you don't have an education." I was told if I don't have an education, I can't make any money. So I just make the money that I can and I make some extra money on the side doing, selling drugs. He goes, "But you're going to go to jail." I said, "Well, only if I get caught." I was cocky, arrogant, cocky. And he said, "Okay, I get it." He said, "What are your goals?" I said, "Well, I'd like to get a better job than I have. I'd like to get a car because my friend Robert picks me up all the time, and that must be getting tiring for him. And I can't afford the gas for this car that he's got because, it's a fortune. And then I'd like to move out of my parents' house. I'm 19. I want to get out of here. And this was early April 1980. And he goes, well, that's all great. I mean, every kid eventually wants to get out, but what are some of your bigger goals? So what do you mean? He says, well, what are your bigger goals? I don't know. Those are the goals I have. And he gave me this document. And Julie, you've heard me talk about this. He gave me this document. And on the document, it said, the 1980 Goal Setting Guide. So it gives it to me. I look at it. He said, will you do me a favor? Let's just start off with what you might want to have. And I said, I want you to use your imagination. So I sat at the table next to where he and my brother and I were sitting. And I opened it up and it had the first question. What age do you want to retire? I'm like, what? I'm 19. My father hasn't retired yet. So I said to him, how do I put down what I want? He just put down a number. I said, 45. So I was 19, 26 years later. I put down a number longer than how long I've been on Earth, right? The second question was, how much net worth do you want to have? And so I looked at Mr. Brown and said, Mr. Brown, what does net worth mean?
Oh my gosh.
He explains to me what net worth is. He says, number 3, what kind of car do you want? What kind of home do you want? How do you want to travel? Who do you want to help? What experiences do you want? I just wrote down shit. I mean, I wrote down, travel the world, first class, Italian clothes, Mercedes-Benz, 4-bedroom house, retire my parents, blah, 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 blah. And I took shit. I mean, out of imagination, 100% out of imagination. And so Mr. Brown starts to read this and he's like nodding his head. And then he looks at me and says, listen, these are some great goals to have. He said, the good news is every one of these is possible and then some. He says, well, I'm going to ask you a question, right? And the answer to this question will determine whether you achieve every one of these goals. And Julie, I can tell you in the back of my head, I'm thinking, yeah, bullshit. Yeah. One question is going to determine whether I achieve all those goals. La, 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 la. And right. So he looks at me and I remember him, he leans in a little bit and he said, son, and he points at the paper. He says, are you interested in achieving all of these things? Or are you committed? And I was like, this is so ingrained in my brain. I was like, interested or committed? The answer to that question is going to determine whether I achieve all these things. And I said to him, I said, what's the difference? And again, he leans and he says, if you're interested, you'll do what's easy and convenient. If you're interested, you'll allow the story you just told me about school and failing and how you had a hard time and how the teachers couldn't teach all the kids and you fell behind, you got into trouble and your parents couldn't help you and your brother and sister couldn't help you because they were having troubles of their own. If you're interested, you won't show up the way you need to. So if you're interested, you'll allow your story and your identity to control what you're doing and your habits will reinforce them. He says, but if you're committed, you will upgrade your identity to match your destiny. You will upgrade who you think you are. You will upgrade your beliefs. You'll upgrade your habits. And certainly you'll have to upgrade your skills and your knowledge so that the skills and knowledge and identity and what you do, your habits, match the results that you want. And I can tell you, Julie, it made sense, even at 19, I didn't think I was that smart. I go, okay, that makes sense. I said, okay, I'm committed. And he reaches out his hand and he goes, in that case, I will be your mentor. I looked at my brother, I looked at him. What's a mentor? What's a mentor? I may as well told me I'll be your unicorn. I don't know. What's a mentor? A mentor is somebody that will guide you, will show you, will help you understand what you're doing wrong, help you understand what you need to be doing right, help you understand what to read, what to say, what to do. We'll make sure you don't make the same mistakes over and over again, and we'll point you in the right direction and be a guide for you. I said, oh, wow. Well, I'd love one of those. And so he said, great. Well, I'm here in Toronto. You're in Montreal. The first thing I would need you to do is move here. Like, excuse me? what do you mean move here? He goes, no, I need you in Toronto. I can't mentor you in Montreal. The internet didn't exist then, right? We couldn't do these Zoom calls, right? It's like, and long distance phone calls, even on your mobile phones back then was like $1.75, $2 a minute. I need you in Toronto. I said, I don't know anybody in Toronto. I don't have a job here. He says, well, first and foremost, I've asked you to do one thing, and you're already telling me reasons why you can't. Is let me teach you lesson number one. First, you make decisions, then you figure out how. Okay, but where am I going to live? I don't have a car. What am I going to do? He says, well, you can come work for me at my real estate company. I said, oh, awesome. He said, hold on. You need to take a real estate course to get your real estate license. There's a 5-week course starting on April the 20th, finishing June. I think it was June 5th or something like that. He said, it's $500 for the course. I said, what? You want me to go back to school? I failed English. I failed math. They told me I wasn't very smart. And $500, I have $40 in my account. He said, stop. There you go again. He said, there you go again. You're telling me why you can't. People who succeed, who want to achieve those things that you wrote on that piece of paper, they make decisions, then they figure out how after, because the how already exists. I said, Mr. Brown, I don't know, real estate, like real estate school? He says, yeah, in order to sell real estate, you need to learn about real estate law. You know, me, just, this went on for a little bit of time. He kept telling me what to do. I kept giving him excuses. He kept telling me what to do. I gave him a story. He kept telling me what to do. I gave him an objection. Don't have the money. Don't have the time. Don't have the knowledge. Don't have the skill. Don't know anybody. All these things. He said, John, stop. Are you interested? Or are you committed? I said, well, I'm committed. But he says, there are no buts in commitment. Long story short, Julie, 2 weeks later, moved to Toronto, lived with my brother for a while. I drove him to tennis, took his car, went to school, picked him up, 5 weeks of learning and practicing for the test. June 20th, 1980, I get my real estate license. I am officially, at 19 years young, a realtor. Now, why do I remember that date so specifically? It's because it's the first test I had passed on my own without cheating in years. And I actually remember feeling proud that I did the work and I passed the test. I didn't think I was smart enough to. I had to learn real estate law. I had to learn some math stuff. I had to learn stuff that I had no interest to, but the carrot of Mr. Brown mentoring me was greater than my fear. The carrot of having this opportunity, a real one, okay, was greater than my uncertainty and self-doubt and self-image and limiting beliefs. So basically, I became a real estate agent on commission only. And over the next 18 months, I made $150,000. That was my end, which means he made $150,000 for helping me because he was getting 50% of my commissions. And that was the beginning of mindset shift, letting go of my fears, my doubts, my uncertainties, my limiting beliefs, my self-image disconnects. And every day, Julie, not only did I have the goals that I wrote down, that he had me reading every single day, not only did he have me run my fingers across them as I read them, not only did he have me write out what beliefs would I need to have about myself to achieve those, not only did he have me write out what habits would I need to create in order to achieve those, not only did I do that, but he had me practicing selling and marketing for 1 hour a day to upgrade my knowledge and skill so I would be better at my craft. So in essence, what he had me do was create a vision for something I had no idea how to do, set goals for things I had no idea how to plan for, and he had me become the person capable of achieving those goals in a systematic, organized, methodical way of doing a little bit each day of reading my goals, a little bit each day of visualizing me achieving it, a little bit each day of upgrading my knowledge and skills, and a lot each day of getting my ass into action to do the things required to achieve those goals. So I was on the phone every single day from 9 a.m. I had to be in the office at 7:30, from 9 a.m. till 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. My first script was, hi, this is John Assaraf with Allen Brown Real Estate Company. We have somebody who's looking to buy a home in the neighborhood. Have you thought of making a move? That's a script. That's the actual script. If they said yes, I'd go, oh, great. Can my broker and I come over today at 3 o'clock or would 5 o'clock be better? That's called an alternative choice. Not can we come over? Can we come over at this time or that time? If they said yes, great. We'll see you at 5 o'clock. If they said no, I said, thank you. Oh, by the way, do you know if any of the neighbors have thought about making a move? Yes or no, I had an answer. If they said no, I said, thank you very much. Oh, one last question. Since we are the local real estate company in the neighborhood, have you ever considered when you might be moving the next year, 2 or 3 or 4, just so we can have it in our folders and files so that when buyers come to us, we know maybe to call you, make the sale a lot easier for you. All of that was a script that I read, recorded, and listened to every day back and forth to work. And while I was driving the car, okay, in the neighborhoods, getting to know the neighborhoods, I learned a script. Then I got on the phones and practiced. Then I learned another script and another script and another script. So he had me practicing scripts for success. I had to become more to achieve more. So all the airy fairy, hocus pocus, hope and prayer stuff is all great, in addition to the stuff that you really need to do, not in lieu of.
Yeah. Like, wow.
That was the beginning 40 years ago. And I have not stopped. Every day, I still review my vision. I still listen. I still practice. I still visualize. I still emotionalize. I still take action every single day on the things that are important to me. Right? And just refined my own process and taught it to millions of people, maybe, hundreds of thousands of clients around the world. And so I've got my own twist on it because I really want to understand the brain and what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to me so that I can deliberately share it with others and say to them, here's what's happening when you do this. Here's why it works. Here's how it works. Here's how often to do it. Here's when to back off. Here's what to do here. Here's what to do there. So I've just been a student of self-performance, right? I want, like I mentioned, I don't want an ordinary life. I feel, and I'm not religious at all, but the word that I want to use, I feel like it's sacrilegious to live an average, ordinary life when that spiritual side of our being wants fuller expression. And I'm not talking about more money. I'm talking about more kindness, more peace of mind, more money, more goodness, more giving, more caring, more time off, more time for hobbies, more time for health, more time to see the world. I'm all about achieving even more, right? Not in a negative, more egotistical way, but like, how much do you want to experience life? Right? I don't want to be a victim that's bound in limitations that I can let go of. Like, today we know more about how to recognize and release and let go of the stuff that's not serving us and holding us hostage than in the history of 107 billion humans that have walked before us. So we can all stand on the shoulders of giants and we can live the life that we were meant to live and the life that we dream of having and feel there's got to be more. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. So I love to study it, implement, learn, share in a way that excites people, but also gives them a path of now do this.
You are such a walking, talking, living example. It's why I really appreciate you sharing this story. It's breathtaking, and this is the thing, I'm thinking it's mind-boggling, and like you're saying, we all have, I know you talk about this, we have this $1 trillion, machine in our head. We've got trillions of cells. We've got, source intelligence. To me, the divine is constantly expressing as more. So when I hear you, and I really heard what you're saying, you bring in the practices, and we can bring in that infinite intelligence, and like, it's just astounding. And what you're doing, I mean, who you are today, I mean, telling that story is just so powerful. Look what who you are and keep becoming.
Thank you. And it's a focus of mine, right? It's what I want to be as much as I can be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like who I am is more than enough,
Yeah.
and I could become more.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of and it's not that I can become more. It's a matter of remembering and playing from that space. Right. It's just remembering from that space of, I always have, I have this visual. I live, here in San Diego, and beaches right there. And so I have this visual. If I went to the beach and I took a bucket of ocean water and I went inland 5,000 miles, wherever that would be, and there's no ocean anywhere around, and I asked the people, what's in the water? They go, it's ocean water. Where'd you get it from? We got it over there 5,000 miles from here. I said, so the very thing that's in the bucket is the same very thing that's 5,000 miles away from here? And the answer was, well, yeah, it's ocean water. Well, wouldn't the same be true that the very thing that created you is also within you, regardless of how far you may feel away from it? You just have to remember that, oh yeah, I'm ocean water. So I always want to remember, I am this sentient being. If we reversed, from whatever age we are, we reversed back to, the point of, the twinkle in mom's eyes and the twinkle in dad's eyes when, they were intimately involved, and sperm and an egg came together, and the 23 X and 23 Y chromosomes met together. We go, oh my God, the intelligence of the ages is in there. The intelligence of the ages is in those chromosomes. Not mother and father, but 2 million years of human evolution. And who knows what intelligence from before that in the hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, or carbon, that came from the furnace of stars that coalesced. That's in me. Yeah, that's the bucket of ocean water I'm talking about. That's not it. That is you. Let's play from there. That is you. And as you said, I'm not good enough. What? I'm not smart enough. What? Your intelligence within you is keeping your DNA from unraveling in this very second, as we're spinning at 1,000 miles, an hour on this beautiful blue planet in this Milky Way galaxy that's moving at 1 million miles an hour through space and time. And you're growing hair and nails, and 10 million cells are dying, and 10 million cells have just been created. What do you mean you're not intelligent or smart enough? Oh, because you didn't pass math? Oh, you failed English, and you're basing who you are based on that? Maybe we need to change the frame of it. Maybe we need to change the frame, right? Let's change the frame.
Yeah.
Right. So now, what do you mean change the frame? Well, if we change the way that we look at something, Wayne Dyer said, we change the way you look at something. The thing that you look at changes. Well, why not change the way we look at us? Why not learn how to frame things in a way that empower us instead of disempower us? Well, how do you do that? Oh, that's a skill. Do you want to learn it? Oh, well, I'm too young. Compared to what? I'm too old. I mean, compared to what? To do what? To have what? To be what? Where did you get that idea? Is it possible that whoever gave you the idea or wherever you picked it up from didn't have the right idea? Are you willing to just let that go? Did you one time believe in Santa Claus? It was great when you believed in Santa, right? Or the Tooth Fairy. Did you let go of that idea? Yeah, well, why not let go of other ideas that aren't true? Now we're thinking. Now we can change the frame and say, oh my goodness, I am more than enough. And when I show up as more than enough, and I learn on this little blue planet, there are certain things we need to do to drive a car, certain things we need to do to use our computers or our mobile phones. We need to learn how to do those. Well, there's certain things I need to do to be spiritually connected, mentally focused and aware, emotionally centered and in control versus all over the place, focused instead of distracted. I want to learn how to make more money. Okay, we know how to do that. Oh, but I'm not good at managing. Oh, okay, well, we know how to do that. Well, I'm a terrible investor, you know. Okay, well, you're willing to upgrade your investment skills? Well, all of those things are like learning tennis, checkers, knitting, the Rubik's Cube, a language, an instrument. We can learn those things, but are you committed or are you interested? Right? I'm going to keep coming back to that because, listen, the era that we live in now, we cannot use, I don't know how as an excuse anymore. That's really valid, because if you were committed, you'd learn how, because other than colonizing Mars or finding a cure for cancer, most of us don't really have to figure it out.
Yeah.
The blueprints for almost everything are available. Cell phone, just like, hold on, Google it. Oh, you don't want to Google it? YouTube it. Oh, you don't want to YouTube it? Amazon book. Right? Oh, you don't want that? Who's the coach who specializes in this? Like the resources are limitless now for what we want to achieve. The question is, are you allowing your lack of resources to control you? Or are you going to become resourceful of how you can, because you must, because you're committed?
And that's the question. That's it.
Listen, I've been doing this a long, long time. And I've gotten to the point now in my life that if I have a goal that excites me, first question I ask myself, hey, John, you know how much work this takes. You may need to stop this. You may need to start this. You may need to upgrade your skill here. And if you're not committed, just don't even start. But then don't complain and don't bitch and whine, John. Right? You can't have excuses and you can have excuses and success. You just can't have it at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, earlier today, I did a training for several hundred of people that are in my business growth program. And I showed them a methodology. A couple of them have been overwhelmed. There's so much to do: selling, marketing, management, headlines, bylines, webcasts, podcasts, this cast, that cast, this training, that training, hiring, managing, investing. Oh my God, cash flow, legal, technology, all of this stuff.
Yeah. And
I said, you're overwhelmed, right? Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. So do you have a process for eliminating overwhelm? No. I gave him a process. Oh my God, I didn't know there was a process that will allow me to focus on the critical few instead of the trivial many. I didn't know that I can actually have a daily and weekly practice to be able to focus on the things that are actually the really critical and urgent things. I've been focusing on a lot of the important things, but not the critical and urgent things. I've been mixing them all up. Well, imagine if emergency room doctor mixed all of those up. There's a patient on the 3rd floor who's coughing a lot. Hold on, let me go see her. Well, there's a patient just came out of the ambulance that's got a knife in their side. They said, hold on, sir, we'll be right down with you. Never.
Right.
Patient would die. Patients would keep dying. right? Because you're off taking care of the person who can't stop coughing. So in life, we have to know what things to allow to drop when things drop, and what things are urgent and critical. And if we focus on the critical few instead of the trivial many, we will get so far ahead of the game over the course of a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you won't recognize your life. Like, I don't recognize my life other than I wrote this out on a piece of paper many, many years ago, and I achieved those goals within 10 years, not 26, and then some. I don't recognize who I am. Like, there's the way old me, and there's like the new me. It's kind of like, wow, look at what you've become. And so, like, I'm proud of me in a humble way, not in an egotistical way, but I also am passionate, as you know, and is to share that with as many people as I can, because I think there is something very, very, very special about me. That's the very same thing that I already know is very, very, very special in you. So I don't like to say I'm not special, because I am, but so are you in the exact same way, right? And if I could turn on that, I call it like flipping on your brain's success switch, right? If I can help turn that light on you so you see it, get it? Like, you get it now? It's like, wow, that's the fun part.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I know we have to wrap this in a moment. Can I share your quick 66 pack? Just I was thinking your whole, like, you don't recognize yourself. And I'm like, literally, I know you've done a lot with your health, you've upgraded all of that. And for those, if you're watching, so we'll have this on YouTube too. I mean, I just love this story, how you decided, I think you said like flabby at 50. I'm like,
fat at 50, six pack at 60.
And of course you have it. I saw a photo on Instagram. I'm like, look at him. Good for John. It's so freaking inspiring.
At 48, I achieved some success in my life, and I let my health go down. I was 243 pounds, 33% body fat, fatty liver, borderline hypertensive, and going on the wrong train, on the wrong track, not going in the right direction. And I made a commitment. There was an event that happened. I was on the chairlift with my children. We were skiing. We have a home in Colorado. We were skiing. And we usually go out at like at 8:30, 9 o'clock when the mountain opens. And around 10:30, I was on a chairlift. My son Noah, who was like 12, 13 at the time, was sitting here. Yeah, it had to be 13 at the time because he's 25 now. It was 12 years ago. Kina was next to him, and Noah's got his head on my shoulder, and we're just talking. We're going up the chairlift, and we're having a nice spring skiing day, which I love to do. I taught my children how to ski and board. And I was getting a little tired. I was a little achy. Didn't sleep well from severe sleep apnea that I had. And so I said, hey guys, after this run, I'm going in. And Noah lifts his head up and he looks at me and says, Papa, how come you're always so tired? I said, we're here on vacation, we don't, you work so much at home, and like, what are we supposed to do? Like, you're going in again? I'm like, no, I'm freaking tired. Like, come on, give me a break. He said, we've only been out for an hour. I said, I know, but like, I've skied with you guys for an hour. I'm tired. I'm going to go in. And I caught myself that I was raising my voice to my son. He wants to spend time with me, which I always want to do. And here I am. I have their undivided attention, and I'm going in the house. And so I caught myself and said, hold on, Noah, for 1 second. I sat there, I took a few deep breaths, realizing I just raised my voice to him, defending the fact that I'm making a story or excuse to go in. I was tired, but he was right. I looked at him, and this was like March. We always go spring skiing. So it was like March, April, 12 years ago. All right. I said, Noah, and Keenan's next to my other son. I said, I'll make you a deal. You're like 13 years old now. Okay, I'm 48. I said, I'm going to make you a promise right now. What, Papa? I said, I'm going to get into the best shape of my adult life. And I promise you, this won't happen again, but here's I'm going to promise you that you won't even get the meaning of this yet. I promise you to stay in shape, and I will teach your children how to ski or board. He was 13, Keenan was 15. Wow. He didn't even understand what that meant. I did go in after 1 or 2 more runs. I called some people that I knew in San Diego. I said, hey, I just made a promise to my sons. I need to get serious about, my overweight, my fat, my sleep apnea, everything. And between that time and my 50th birthday, I released 40 pounds of fat. Got into the best shape for 50. 2 years ago, at 58, I said, for my 60th birthday, and I was in good shape. Wasn't chiseled, never been chiseled. I've been in good shape. I said, for my 60th birthday, I've never had a six-pack. I wonder if I could have a six-pack. So I've been working on a six-pack. And that's the story. So fat at 50, six-pack at 60. And it's just to use what we already have available to us.
Yeah.
And make some shifts, be radically honest, be committed, and then to, take daily action. Some days are better than others. Some days we make a lot of progress. Some weeks we make a lot of progress. Sometimes there's obstacles in the way. We fail. We make errors in judgment. Our strategies don't work. Things come up. Life gets in the way. Got it. But when you're committed, you get back on track and you do what you need to do. And you have what I call as relentless pursuit. And so that's actually how I got to this six-pack at 60, which is now leading me to write, my newest book. I've got 4 books now and 2 New York Times bestseller. And my newest book that'll come out next year now. It's one of the goals I had for my birthday this year, and I haven't written any of it yet. So it's a goal that I have, that I just move the goal line. It's called The Second Half, how to make the second half of your life the best half of your life.
I'm going to read that book. Oh yeah. That sounds awesome.
There we go, Julie.
Amazing. I almost was going to ask you to lift your shirt. I'm like, we're not doing that. We're not going to do it in this podcast, but you can check out in Instagram. You have some photos and I'm like, look at John. It's so inspiring. Like you just,
and
the
now
thing
is
is
even better than that photo.
Right. You've been doing the things, what I love is just whatever the goal is, like, it doesn't matter. It could be for those listening. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll get on that train. 56 pack at 50. I don't know. 5-pack. I don't know if that would be kind of weird, but whatever.
What's really fun. There's a couple of things in order to get to this, like, second to last phase, I had to give up my sugar addiction.
Yeah.
So I have not had any refined sugar for 11 months, which is never, ever, ever happened. I have been a sugar addict from the time I was a little boy. And I gave up my sugar addiction. What's really interesting is, I don't know if I shared it, I'll end with this story. About 5 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, Maria and I were having dinner at a restaurant, maybe a mile from here at the house. And I walked into this restaurant, and it was still, walked into this restaurant, and this guy taps me on the shoulder. And I look up and he goes, hey, my name is Bill, whatever the case is. I just want to let you know, you're John Assaraf, right? I said, yes. He goes, you inspired my wife and I to get into the best shape of our lives. We saw your six-pack on Instagram when you were in Mexico. I go, you did? Like, how do you even know? How do you, what? You never know. So that's also part of the fun is, is just busting myths. And if I inspire you and you inspire me and you like the path for me and I like the path for you and you lift me up as you climb and I lift as I climb, then we all help each other. And that's, the high tide raises all the boats. So let's be a part of raising each other's boats and tides and lifting each other up as we climb.
Amazing, extraordinary. Namaste, as we say. And the light and I certainly bows the light in you. And thank you for raising the tide. I mean, and the boats, definitely raising mine from saying it right.
That's right.
Yeah, rising,
exactly. Rising the boats.
Raising everything.
All the boats up.
Right. Oh, thank you so much, Sean. This was just such a gift for us all.
Yeah, let me know when you get it. I'll send it out too.
Oh, thank you.